In a region, or even in a subregion, you have varying heights and you have pinch plains, so you really get the ability to kind of grow a variety of ingredients in whatever area you are in Italy. I mean, certainly there's differences in what's used ingredient-wise from north to south, but as far as, you know, the flora and even the fauna, you know, the produce and the animals are there. Because you have the ability to do that, you don't just have think of Florida or someplace in the States, you have flat areas or kind of the same altitude in a large area. Not so much in Italy. So each region has its own varying heights and pinch plains. And again, this is equalizing effect going on. And I'm going to just kind of scan over here because it is so beautiful. And then I'll continue walking. But think of, the best analogy I can give you is think of like an ice tray. Right? An old-fashioned ice tray, plastic ice tray that you fill up with water, and it has little pockets of ice, or a little water that turns into ice. Kind of the same thing, right? You have these little pockets in their own little world. And so if you think about, if you're standing somewhere in Italy, you don't really have to travel horizontally. You don't have to walk due north to get different temperatures. You don't have to walk into another region to get a colder or a warmer climate. You just walk straight up the mountains that are in your region. Okay, so that's the reason why produce throughout Italy is so varied, because they can. So the veggies and fruit, you know, there's a lot of lush produce in these markets, obviously. Long growing season throughout Italy. It's a very long growing season with whatever region you're in. And again, not just the produce, but the fauna too, the animals, you know, the geese, the ducks, the pigs, you know, the cattle. A lot of different variety because of this geography. Just a little sidebar here. It's interesting if you kind of think basic agriculture. A lot of farmers, all farmers will prepare land and till land on the south side of the slopes. And I'm actually looking on the south side of the slope here. I'm actually facing north, but the side of the hill there is the south side. And the reason for that is you get more sunlight on the south side because of the tilt of the earth. So a lot of these crops, you'll see no matter what they're planting, what various crops, they're going to be on the south side. And I'm going to come up here a little further and then maybe show you a better picture of the Alps. It's just such a clear day. People were telling me here on campus here that you got to get out and look on a clear day, because very rarely can you see the Alps and the Apennines at the same time. So let me head down further. Just passing just a really handsome looking Tuscan house here on my right hand side. Again, continue our class in Tuscany. Again, we're just south of Florence in Volterra at the CF Learning Center, University of South Florida Study Abroad program. And you hear those birds? Beautiful. And I'm gonna kind of work my way down here and talk about what we see, because it is pretty incredible. Again, as I said, clear day. Yeah, if you look, I'm going to stop right here. Might be an occasional car passing by, so I'll stop talking when they pass by. Yeah, if you look, oh gosh, let me zoom in and see again. Right, yeah. Pretty much right in front of me, you can see the Apennine Mountains. That's the mountain chain that runs north-south, kind of splits Italy on the east and west side. It works its way into the region of Calabria, into the toe of Italy, toe of the boot, the Apennines. Again, that's what kind of starts those varying heights and pinch plains into the different regions and subregions, and creates little microclimates, and which is why you have this equalizing effect going on, where you can kind of grow anything, anywhere throughout Italy, because of that box plains. And then right beyond that, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can barely see it. I think it was almost clear yesterday, but you can really get a good shot, a good outline of the Alps, which are much higher, but even from this far away, you can see the Alps just barely in the Apennines. And then if you look right over here, this is kind of, see those mountains in the back behind those Italian pines? I forget what the name of those trees are. They're beautiful. If you look at that, those are some other mountains in Tuscany, on the sort of the southwest side of Tuscany, the region of Tuscany. You have a little cluster of mountains. I think it's Monte Ruffoli is the name of the cluster of mountains here. Again, so you have the main Apennines, right? The main Apennine Mountains. That's the spine going through north and south Italy. You have, of course, little clusters of mountains in almost any region you look at, even in Sicily. If you look at the map of Sicily on Google and punch in satellite, you'll see some mountains, of course, in Italy too. And I was talking with somebody a while back, and according to geologists, it's probably going back millions of years, but there was some tectonic plates that shifted, and Africa kind of pushed its way through up underneath the water into the Mediterranean and up into what is now Italy, which is what kind of created these incredible mountains that creates these little pockets of civilization, right? All right, when I get up here, I'm gonna talk a little bit about farming. So if you think about this area we're in Italy, inhabited for thousands of years, it's very, very successful civilizations. So 3,000 years. So you have farmers. Think about this. You have farmers in Italy becoming masters of their crops over a 3,000 year period. Do you think that puts them ahead of maybe farmers with land that they might have in other parts of the world? Certainly, right? So because you had farmers working on a lot of the times a single crop, Italy's, most farms, a lot of farms these days, some of the big farms, and certainly farms back thousands of years ago, it was kind of a cooperative effort. But you have farmers mastering a single crop, and so they become damn good at it. If you think about trying to farm, and again, if you're in a different part of the world, you have different terroir, you have different soil, but a very rich volcanic soil here in most of Italy. But again, if you were a farmer working in a different area of the world, let's say it was only for 5 or 10 years, or just a generation, 20 years, you would probably, hopefully, get a grip on what to do and what grows. But take that all the way up to 3,000 years, and you can just imagine kind of the expertise that then happens. Okay, so again, you are my international food and culture students. But again, we have students here, and we're teaching a couple different classes here in Volterra. And I just want to share with you what we're learning in that class, because it certainly connects to international food and culture. We've discussed kind of the major influences. There's a lot of invaders that came through Italy, but not many of them left any kind of impression or influence on food. Mainly just the three: the Greeks, the Etruscans, and the Saracens. And if Saracens, you might ask me, well, who are the Saracens? Saracens, we kind of group that in when we talk historically and different archaeology and history. When I'm talking about Saracens, I mean people in the Arab regions, Middle East regions, Muslims that conquered certain parts of the world here. They certainly had a strong influence on the cuisine in Italy. But we've been talking about specific ingredients that were brought to Italy. Of course, Italy had, a lot of their amazing ingredients already here, but it's known that the Americas, west of Italy, obviously, the Americas brought a lot of different ingredients, corn, tomatoes, gourds, things like that. And the Saracens brought not only ingredients, but also technique. Saracens brought rice and oranges and different ingredients, and the ability to make ice cream, to distill liquor, or to distill distillation was brought to Italy by the Saracens. So just some amazing contributions, but usually mainly by these three groups of civilizations: the Saracens, as I just mentioned, certainly the Greeks. We've been talking a lot about the Greek influence, and the Etruscans. So the three.